Let's go.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. Yes, we're back. Football is almost back, and we are here with the fans forum tonight, and a bit of a fans forum special. We've almost got a full house. George is with us. Martin is with us, I think, although he may be having some connectivity problems. And we have our special guest, Dan Lambert, aka Home of the Villa, in the show tonight. Great to have you on board, Dan. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, good to be back. Although as always, the international breaks always seem to drag on, but no, all good. Nice to be on.
Great to see you, mate. Yes, they absolutely do. They absolutely do drag on just a little bit. But we've got some Aston Villa players, Aston Villa representatives for England and for other countries that are doing well. So we're going to get into that as well. And we are going to talk about the momentum, because I feel like has the momentum that we gained moving into this international break, is that going to continue, or are we at risk with these big games coming up of spoiling that positivity that we had? How is the squad looking? And as I said, can the international players keep their form going into the season, into the rest of the season? And also your comments, your questions, get them in. We will talk all things Aston Villa on and off the pitch. So please do get your questions in for the boys. Before we get kicked off, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Even though we haven't really had many shows over the last few days, we've jumped up the subscribers even more. So thank you for all your support. And if you hadn't caught the show I did on Saturday with Charlie, aka Academy AVFC, brilliant show, brilliant roundup of all the academy players and conversation about some of the lads who are getting close to the first team squad and do they deserve more of a chance. So please do catch that show as well on the channel. George, great to see you, mate. How are things? Are you fresh from your trip to Rotterdam?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, cheers, lads. Yeah, it's a great trip to we had a couple of days in Amsterdam, and obviously the main day in Rotterdam, and managed to get tickets for the game. Yeah, it was brilliant, mate. Absolutely fantastic few days. Yeah, we lived the dream just for a while. Got a great win. Yeah, it was very, very, very fun time.
Very good. I believe you were out there as well, Dan.
Yeah, it was. It was a cracking few days. I think. I know we'll get into it, but if you'd have given me a 2-0 win away in Rotterdam 3 weeks before that fixture, I would have said who's scoring, because it didn't look like it. But yeah, great few days.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. I wish I was there. I wish I'd have been there, but it just wasn't to be. But hopefully later on this season, I can get out to a European game as well. Martin, have we got you? Are you with us? Or are you still delayed? He's still delayed.
This is normally me, isn't it? It's nice
to might have to call it a night. Anyway, we talk about, George, I'll come to you first. We talk about kind of the night in Rotterdam and the great performance against Feyenoord. That was in between a really good win against Fulham and then a comfortable win, although we maybe made it a little bit tricky for ourselves against Burnley, but that set up for 4 in a row in terms of all competitions. Do you feel like the international break kind of came at the wrong time for Aston Villa?
Well, yeah, I guess you would say yes because of the form we were in, but that's just the way it goes, isn't it? You know what it's like at the start of the season. It's always disjointed, isn't it? You have a few games and it stops in September, a few more games and it stops in October. You know, we'll have another few games and I think it stops again in November. This is what we're dealing with. You know, we've had, obviously the start was what it was, but we've sort of slowly working ourselves back into a bit of form now. I thought the 2 European games have done wonders for us, especially the Feyenoord one, as we were just saying. You know, winnable games, Burnley and Fulham, which we've done the job, but we've got a tough run of games now. So, it's about who we're playing, isn't it? And I'm not sure we'll get another 4 wins in a row, but we've got to stay positive, and hopefully we'll get as many points on the board as we can.
Well, this is it, isn't it, Dan? Because you couldn't. I mean, if my feeling was anything to go by, I was ranting and raving on this podcast for a good few weeks at the start of the season. I was talking about relegation battles and all that jazz.
Full on head loss.
If we didn't get the results that we got in the end in the league against Fulham and Burnley, but now we had those 4 wins in a row. How do you feel it's put us in sort of the frame of mind for the particular these 3 tough league games that George has highlighted? Tottenham, Manchester City, and Liverpool to come.
I think it's well, you've already alluded to it. It was a difficult start to the season, but actually, like, you take a step back. Defensively, bar the Palace, I know we lost 3-0. Defensively, we've looked very solid, whereas last year we couldn't keep a clean sheet for love nor money. And I think obviously Everton away, that's a tough. I'm not just saying it because they're played well there, but keeping a clean sheet against Newcastle, clean sheet against Everton, clean sheet against Bologna. Can't really remember what it was. Burnley 2-0.
Yeah,
but we so actually
Burnley was 2-1. Yeah,
2-1. But actually at the back we've looked more steady than we did last season, and I think it was just that last pass going forward or in the final third that was lacking in those 3 or 4 games at the start when there was the head loss, as if to say, right, that's it, we're relegation fodder, because we've not actually lost. Okay, Bailey's gone and Ramsey's gone, but for me, they were bit part players last season. They weren't sort of guaranteed starters. We've actually kept the core of a lot of our team, and I think towards the end of the sort of this little run of games, you could see the shoots of those phases of play were starting to come off, and the sort of Emery soak up the pressure. Because I think the McGinn goal, certainly, I watched a clip on Instagram earlier. It was from the Europa League, and it was talking about Villa soaking up pressure. We were pretty much playing the ball along our own 18-yard box. Torres straight into Marlon. He turns a defender, and we put the ball in the back of the net. So there were signs of sort of the Emery Villa from last season and the season before, which is starting to come through. So yeah, break at a slightly unfortunate time, but actually I think we can take that momentum into the next few games.
Yeah, and I think Dan alluded to it there. The tactical sort of plan of Unai Emery, with regards to coming up against the likes of Tottenham away, let's say the away games, Tottenham away and Liverpool away, sort of 2 of the next 3. I know we lost fairly heavily last season against them at their ground, but we beat them the season before. We've had a couple of other decent results against them at their ground. The tactical plan of Unai Emery, and that coupled with, I guess, that more defensive solidity, and the fact that they've not been amazing under Thomas Frank. It's not out of the ordinary that we go there and win, is it?
No, we've got a chance for sure. I mean, Emery's had a pretty good record against Thomas Frank in a lot. Obviously, I know it's Brentford, and so Brentford are a good side, but he's picked up a good Spurs side now. I mean, I think they've had a pretty good start, to be honest. And I like the look of them, to be fair.
They've had a good start, don't get me wrong. But I don't think they're amazing. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I love Xavi Simons. He looks like an excellent player. But
yeah, and obviously I think getting Paulinho has been an absolute revelation for them. I think they look a good side. And it's going to be a big test for us. But, we've got good players too. Style-wise, again, I always say this. I don't really sort of see the point of trying to dominate games away from home against big sides. Just pick your battles, and against these good sides, just let them try and come at us. Try and be as solid as you can. Almost a bit like we did with the final game. We had to suck it up for a while there, didn't we? They give us their best, and eventually they run out of steam, and we come on strong. And I would say that would be a decent approach going into the Spurs game. And again, I'm thinking about Liverpool last year was a tough old game, wasn't it? And we, I think the 2 goals we gave away were from our own corners, weren't we?
Yeah.
Some bad our set pieces are not great again at the minute, conceding wise. So I think we've got to be alert in that game. But they're tough games, but you've just got to do your best in there and try and get some points.
Yeah, and looking at the fixtures, we've got obviously the Tottenham game on Sunday. Then we've got Go Ahead Eagles away, Man City at home, Liverpool away, Tel Aviv at home, and then Bournemouth at home before the next international break. So sort of 6 games. You mentioned, George mentioned about having those European games to almost take their mind off the league, to be able to refocus, to maybe get a bit of confidence. How do you think that'll dovetail with regards to the league form, Dan? Like, because we've seen it have a positive effect before this recent international break. You know, do you feel like, let's say, for example, we didn't get a great result against Tottenham, just say for argument's sake, but then we got a really good result against Go Ahead Eagles. That can really set you up then to go into the Man City game under much more renewed confidence.
Yeah, I think I said it to a couple of guys. We've now probably got the squad depth, a good squad depth for the Europa League. I think if we were in the Champions League, that we'd still, we'd want a few more additions. But I think being in the Europa League with the squad that we've got allows us to potentially make a couple of changes, whether it's against Go Ahead Eagles and bring in a couple of those fringe players, so that actually, if we have a positive result against Spurs or not, actually we could still have 5 or 6 players with completely fresh legs against City on this. I don't know who City have got in their Champions League fixture that week, but actually, I think we've got a good squad now that will allow us to compete on both fronts without. And again, it's no disservice to the teams in the Europa League, and it's probably going to come across saying that we should stroll the Europa League because we've got a good squad, but. There are some tough games in there, but you'd like to think against the Go Ahead Eagles we could make 2 or 3, maybe 4 changes, and still, I'm going to live and die on this by saying we should get past them. You watch us; they'll beat us 1-0 now. But
no, I don't. I think those days are gone. Like, we should be expecting these results. Absolutely, we should expect into control. But I think where you're right is that, last season, the Champions League, it being the first season in, the gravity of so many of the games, the emotional, not just the physical, but the emotional toll that so many of those games took on us, and then to go into the Premier League again. But this season, the Europa League isn't as intense, let's face it, but also the players are that much more experienced in it. And it feels like at this moment in time, because they know how to manage it, they've had 2 seasons in Europe already. It feels like that, like you've just said there, Dan, that they can, win, lose or draw the result on the Sunday. You're taking either the confidence from the victory going into the Thursday game, win that continues that momentum, or you're thinking, right, we've got a game on Thursday to put it right, to then get ourselves back in the frame for the following game. It does kind of feel like that the players feel more ready, and that emotional toll of what the Champions League was compared to the Europa League isn't quite there. Yeah,
the only sort of other thing I think we've got on our side is, I think there was some mad stat that maybe 5. I'm doing off the top of my head, maybe 5 games after Europe we're at home, and also we've got lucky, bar the trip to Turkey in January. We're not actually playing too far. Like, we could have been playing in the back end of nowhere, but it's maybe not as glamorous, but 2 trips to Holland. They'll play that game against Go Ahead Eagles. They'll be back in Birmingham by 10 o'clock at night on the Thursday.
Yeah, you'd be quicker than traveling back from Newcastle.
I know, so actually, in terms of freshness and squad rotation, and actually not losing any time on the training pitch, which having read the first part of this book by Balagay about Emery, is all he wants to be is on the training pitch all the time. Actually, we've got that on our side, that we're not travelling through the night through different time zones. So I think as you say, there's that Thursday night to make amends if need be, but also that opportunity to make changes as well.
Yeah. We will move on in a second, but just in terms of that league result, the 4 league games that we've got, I believe, in this time period, George, I mean, Bournemouth's going to be a hell of a game as well.
Yeah, they were a tough run of games. Bournemouth always it's always a pretty good game with them. I find, we've done all right recently against them, haven't we? But they're a great side. Ariola looks like a top manager for me. They play a lovely style. They're a threat for anyone on their day. And at the moment, the sort of little advantage they have over teams like us is that they're not dealing with Europe yet. I think the way they're going, they're on a trajectory where they're probably going to get there sooner rather than later. But at the minute, the teams like Villa and other sort of European sides, I know it's not Newcastle this year, say like Tottenham, for instance, Chelsea, teams that are having to go on them extra fronts, teams like Bournemouth and Brighton have always kind of got a bit more freshness about them. But it's a tough game, mate. But yeah, again, you're just going off what we've done against them recently. We've got no reason to be fearful, have we?
No.
And just on the back of what Dan said there, like these all these home fixtures after Europe, I reckon that it's a little backhanded apology from the Premier League for what happened at Old Trafford. You know what I mean? Because I think they thought, that was a bit out of order.
Hat
on. Yeah, I think they looked after us there.
Oh, well, look, we'll take it. We'll take it, whatever. So if I was to press you, George, the 4 games in the league, Tottenham away, City at home, Liverpool away, Bournemouth at home, how many points are you picking from those 4 games? And people get in the comments and let us know your thoughts.
I never fancy us at Anfield. I say that every single year on air, and I don't fancy us getting at Anfield this year, so I'd say that's a defeat. City, I mean, God, won there. We've beaten the last 2 years at home, haven't we? Mm-hmm. We've played like some great games against them as well. So there's a chance there. All right, I'll go for a win there, a draw at Spurs, and we'll beat Bournemouth. So that's quite a lot. What's that? 7?
7 points from 4 games.
I'm being quite optimistic there, aren't I? But I'll stick with it. I was right. I was almost right before when you asked the last lot of predictions. I said we'd win. I think I said we'd lose the final and win the other 3, but when we won all 4.
Yeah, there you go.
No, not too bad.
You go. Yeah. Martin does apologise for his internet connection. The country goes into shock when Ireland win a game of football. There you go. They beat the mighty Armenia, I believe. Just slightly better. George. give them some credit, mate. Give them some credit. 1-0 against Armenia, who went down to 10 men. So great job for Ireland there. But Martin, we'll get you back on very soon, mate, when that internet is back up. Kevin's very positive, says 10 points. Gary says 5, so not quite as positive. What about you, Dan?
I was just going to have to take the splinters out my arse, because I was going to sit on the fence with 6. I'd say two wins and 2 losses. I couldn't.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll say that, and Villa being Villa could go and lose the first 2, and then you think we're not going to win them, but we could win the first 2.
I'll be back ranting and raving if we lose the first 2. I'm telling you that now.
Yeah. Emery out.
Yeah.
Well, this is the point, right? I know we have to be very positive because we've won 4 in a row, but will the rumblings start to come again? Let's say we lose the next 3 games, right? And we are, Tottenham get beat, Liverpool we get beat, Man City we get beat. Do the rumblings start again, or because you have to look at it in the grand scheme of it? We've got 9 points from the first 7 games. That's not a great return. We are playing a bit of catch up if we want to finish top 5, top 6. So you've got to get 1 or 2 good results against some of these big teams. And I know we've been pretty good at doing it, but let's say that we don't get those results. Does that positivity start to wane again? Do people start to maybe ask some questions? What are your thoughts, boys? I'll come to either of you.
I think naturally over how we've been the last 2.5 years. And I don't want to use the E word of entitled, but like there has been we've lost 2 or 3 games, and it's like the whole world's about to fall apart, and like we're back to the old Villa days. And you got to remember that before Emery came in, sort of certainly under Gerrard, but if you go back into sort of like when we got relegated, we were expecting to lose every week. So actually, when we won once every 6 weeks on the odd occasion, it was like you just got used to to being battered. Really, that certainly that year we went down, it was dire. So I think for me, I've sort of always been always wanted to be optimistic, but as every Villa fan, you just sort of always downplay it because you're like, well, actually, if we get battered 4-0, at least if I downplay it, I'm not going to get pelters rather than go, we're going to win 4-0 every week. And so I don't know. I don't think for me that the grumblings won't, because we've got the best man we could have in the job. And so there's a reason why so many clubs wanted him, and he's got the reputation he has. So yeah, okay, it'd be disappointing to lose 2 or 3 games after this little mini run, but I think we've got to stick with it and trust that he knows he will find a response. And yeah, I think speaking to so many Villa fans as you guys do as well, I think if you even if you said to anyone now, would you take 15th or mid-table but take a trophy? It's that okay. We could go and win 20 games in the league consecutively. We still probably wouldn't win the league, and we might not win a trophy. So I don't know. It's a difficult balance. But no, the grumblings won't start from me. I'll say that now. But
we live in the life of the reactionary football fan.
Of course,
I always think, it's just us Villa fans, but it's not. All the fans are the same.
And most people were in the pub doing it 20, 30, 40 years ago. Like I remember going to a Villa game with my dad's mate, and he was when we were top of the league under John Gregory, and he wanted John Gregory sacked. So it doesn't, like, just because people vent it out on social media now and then you see it more, doesn't mean that people weren't doing it 30, 40 years ago. They definitely were.
That's true, but I think things have changed. I mean, going back to them times, Rich, what you were on about. Do you remember when they used to say, "Oh, got to give the manager the season, got to give him a season," wasn't it? Then all of a sudden it was like, got to give him 10 games, got to be 10 games. Now, Postecoglou's been in Forest for 3 weeks and he's got to go. Do you know what I mean? It's getting it's getting crazy now. But that's when you've got football being forced down your throat like we are now, with all the content, all the podcasts, all the clickbait, all the Sky Sports. This is what happens, isn't it? We don't like to admit it, but deep down we want our team to win every game. And if we don't win them games, then there's a problem in there.
Well, that's the thing is everyone wants instant success now. So people thought that Postecoglou was going to cut. Well, to be fair, Forest fans didn't really want Nuno sacked, but that's the thing. You get a manager come in and you're like, if they don't win the first 6 games, you're like, well, get rid of the manager, get rid of the board, get rid of everyone else.
Italian football was like that from ages ago, wasn't it? And true. I know Brazilian and Argentinian, they get like 3 games and they're sacked. So it is what it is. I do agree it has changed a bit, but I still think that people were still. It's just obviously it's more out there now, isn't it? It's much more out there. Someone's opinion. We think our opinion matters loads, but it doesn't matter too much. But I like to rant and rave anyway, But I do agree though. I do think that you can't be going into these three massive games in the Premier League, but also the 6 games in total across this next few weeks in better fettle than we are right now. 4 wins in a row, as you say, Dan, not conceding many goals. Watkins has been back in the goals. Marlon's been in the goals. McGinn's been back in the goals. We've seen Buendia playing really well. We'll talk about the squad in a bit, but you can't ask for a better time to go into games against the likes of Tottenham, Liverpool, and Man City, can you? That's that. Sorry, that's to you, Dan. That's to you, Dan.
I think we've got there's some players that have obviously stuck their hand up this summer and said, no, I want to be one of them, being Buendia, and they will go on to the squad. But there's some players which have maybe dropped a little bit in terms of form wise, but then there's some that have sort of put their hand up and sort of wanted to be counted. So I think we can go into the next few games with a lot of confidence. And the problem with Tottenham, although they did win that Europa League last year, is you never know what Tottenham side's going to turn up. We could go there Sunday, and I've heard a couple of their fans said that, or say that they've been pretty poor when they beat Villarreal 1-0, I think, from an own goal in the Champions League, and then Palhinha scored in like the 80-something minute against Wolves, I think. So yeah, you never know what Spurs team are going to turn up, but yeah, I think we're in good shape, and there's some confidence, and patterns of play are starting to come off, which weren't coming off at the start of the season. So yeah, I can go into Sunday with a bit of confidence anyway.
Exactly. Z says, actually, Rich, Spurs home form is horrible, by the way. Wolves just drew there and they've won 3 in 17 home games. I think you guys have a chance. So interesting. I'll have to really look into that. If that's
like
in the Premier
fourth?
League. They're
They're
doing well
Spurs, aren't they?
They're up there in the league, yeah. But
I can't be doing that bad at home then.
Well, it depends if it's going back. If it's Premier League and it's going to last season, I know they won in the Champions League. They've won 4 games this season, drawn 2 and lost 1. Whether those have been. Let's have a look at their home form.
So they've been.
Yeah, so their home form this season has been 1-1, drawn 1, lost 1. So they've got 4 points at home this season so far. So they're not amazing at home. Yeah, so it's not out of the realms. Let's have a look at who else had some more points. John says we're going to get 3 losses in a row of the next 3 games, but we'll beat Bournemouth. So he thinks we'll get 3 points from the next 4. I think we had a few others. I don't know if James means 9 points that we're going to get in these next 4 games. Kevin says, I've just lost the comment now. Gary said 2 draws and a win will be about right. Martin said 7 points. Deontay said 7 points. And Kevin said beat Spurs and City, draw at Liverpool and beat Bournemouth. There you go, 10 points.
I'll have whatever he's drinking.
At all.
Yeah.
But yeah, our away form isn't great either. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe a draw then. Let's just talk about the international form then, because we've seen Morgan Rogers once again for England play really well. Wasn't as good tonight, but still started and played 60 minutes, but was really good for all accounts against Wales. And Ollie Watkins got his goal, got a bit of a knock, but I think he should be all right for Sunday. John McGinn, not great performances for Scotland as a general rule, but they got 2 wins. Daniel Marlon with some goals for Netherlands, and Amadou Onana playing for Belgium as well. So how do you feel like, particularly those England players, Ezri Konsa doing so well for England as well, class says Stephen there. Do you think that they can bring that form into Aston Villa in this? Do you think the playing international games, particularly say someone like Onana getting minutes for international, do you think that will set him in good stead for the Premier League, George?
Well, you can only hope so, can't you? The main thing is that they come out of the games unscathed and not injured. As you know, Onana's sort of been made of glass, hasn't he, since he's come? And, I think everyone's kind of desperate for him to sort of get into our team and show why we've spent all that money on him. And, he's not played yet this season, has he? I don't think. So, yeah.
Just came on against Burnley briefly, didn't he?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's a big chance for him to try and get going again. I mean, Marlon, this is how silly football is. We were on here, 2 weeks ago? Pretty much writing him off. Do you remember? Sort of saying we don't know what he's bringing. He's not, it's not working out. And then all of a sudden he pops up with 2 great goals. 2 goals, wasn't it? Against
two great goals against Burnley, and then a really
great
good
finishes
goal for the Netherlands. Yeah.
So if hopefully he'll start doing a bit now. Now he looks like he's taken that kind of Diaby role, and we're kind of going back to how we used to play. Whether that was for just a game or not, time will tell. But pleased for him all the same. And Konsa's flying for England, isn't he? I mean, he hasn't really put a foot wrong for them. I don't know how many caps he's up to now. He must have about 15, 20 caps. And I would say, providing nothing major happens, he's got to be a shoo-in to be playing in the World Cup. Him and Gahey seem to have struck up a lovely relationship at the back there. So, yeah, happy days.
Yeah. Dan, are you kind of hopeful that particularly someone like Morgan Rogers and obviously Ollie Watkins getting his goal, they can bring that form back to from England to Aston Villa? I mean, Rogers is making steps to get that form back for Villa, but certainly in an England shirt, and particularly on the game last Thursday, he was gliding past players, playing one-touch passes, and that's what we want to see with him at Villa, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he's probably the one player that a lot of Villa fans have thought, where's the Morgan Rogers from last season? Because he obviously there's all the stuff that allegedly went on in the summer, allegedly was said, wasn't said. No one's ever going to know other than Emery and Rogers actually what happened. But it sort of that seemed to creep into the fans in terms of, okay, well, he doesn't want to be here. He was probably the most disappointing player at the start of the season. But again, towards the back of this little run before the international break, he started to show the Morgan Rogers that was last season, sort of going past players. Because again, the first couple of games, like he couldn't even pass to anyone in claret and blue, and it was like this what's happened to is someone sort of taught him how not to play football in like 2 months. But he's hopefully if he can. I think that's the frustrating thing for Villa fans, is because obviously he had that, not this international break, the one before where he did that unreal flick for, I think it was the Eze goal against.
Yeah.
And he had that game, and people were like, "This kid is unreal." And then he came back to Villa, and it was like, this isn't the same Morgan Rogers that's just come back. So I think it's just trying to get. And I know he's still only young, and it's still mad to think we paid 12 million for him. Or whatever we paid for Middlesbrough. There's still so much to come from him, but just got to hope he brings that international form back in and actually can that goal for Watkins and Rodgers, just actually give them that sort of incentive to go and do it for the Villa.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's just playing the pass that he sees rather than trying to take too much time. I think for England, whether it's Tuchel's telling him or whatever, or he just feels the confidence to do it, just play that first time pass, whatever he sees, just do it. Whereas sometimes with Villa, you can see him maybe thinking, should I run here, or should I shoot here, or should I pass it through, try and play a through ball? And by the time he's done it, he's either had the ball taken away from him, or the space has been taken up. Just do what comes into your head.
Is that Emery micromanaging him, Rich?
Yes,
you know what he's like.
That it could be a situation where Emery said, like, I want you to play it to this particular position in this particular stage of the game, or in this particular area. You need to do this. It could be that, but I don't know if even Emery is that micromanaging in attacking positions to be like, you have to do this when you're in this position. Like, I know he has certain set moves and stuff, but, John McGinn took that ball from Emery Buendia and smashed it in from the edge of the box. Like, he's not going to have a go at Rodgers for shooting if the position is there and the time is there to shoot. I just think sometimes at the moment, Rodgers seems to be overthinking what he wants to do. And we know that particularly Rodgers and particularly Ollie Watkins, and it looks like Daniel Marlin as well. It looks like all three of them aren't the best when they have the time to think about what they need to do. They're better when they're just like instinct, hit it, instinct, pass it, instinct, beat a man. And that's when they're at their best. Unless Ollie's in that inside left channel where he does his little step over and then takes it on the outside. That's his set, like that's his like FIFA move, isn't it? That's what he does, when you put it in that position. That's when he knows what he's doing. But other times he just needs to get through, finish. And it's the same, I think, with Rodgers and particularly now Daniel Marlin, because you look at his goals, it's like head down, control, bang. And it's like, it's great to see, but we just got to get him into those positions more to be able to do it. And I do hope that Rodgers can get into that back into that mode, because you think about these games against Tottenham, City and Liverpool, those are the games where we need someone like Morgan Rogers to be at his best, because if he's taking players away from him, if he's getting us up the pitch, then that's what's going to help us to potentially get results in those games, George.
Yeah, I can't really add much more to that, mate. That's spot on. I just wonder whether Unai's put a bit too much on him since he's arrived. He's done very well, hasn't he? But he's become our like key man a bit too fast, I think. I mean, considering we were doing pretty well before he signed anyway, so, he wasn't even sure where he was going to fit in the team or what he was. And within 6 months, you're like, everything's going through you now. And I just wonder whether we become a little bit reliant on him. And, teams can eventually work that out, can't they? And once you stick tight on Rodgers, he's not then got that space to hence why he keeps misplacing his passes, because he's getting marked out of it. People are knowing his runs and that. And I just think maybe a bit more variation, and Rodgers can then maybe find a bit more space if we're not continually going to him all the time. But yeah, as you said earlier, he's still a young boy, and he's got loads of time ahead of him, and there'll be peaks and troughs in his career. I'm sure it won't take him too long, and he'll get back. Looks like he just needs a goal and just needs a bit of love, doesn't he? And the crowd to get back on side, and I'm sure he'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, we kind of segued into it. Before we do talk about the squad, we've got nearly 250 in the chat, which is absolutely brilliant for our first proper. I know, actually, not first proper, because Martin and Ryan did the fans forum last Thursday, but first one ahead of the next round of games coming up. So great to have you in the chat, everyone. Please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We've just passed 6,100 subscribers, on the road to 10,000. So please do help us get there. Like, subscribe, get your comments and questions in. I can see lots of comments about Jadon Sancho. So we will talk about him, because loads of people commenting earlier around about Sancho. But please, I'll star any questions that you want to ask us on or off the pitch, that we'll talk after this sort of main point that we're going to cover now, where we've talked to a few of the players, particularly the ones on international duty. But I just wanted to talk about the squad, really, because I think most players now are back fit, Dan. I think it's only Yuri Tillemans who's had a bit of a setback in terms of injury, but we saw a bit of Onana coming back. I think Garcia's been in and around the squad. Barkley was back featuring the other day as well. And Ollie Watkins, fingers crossed, he's okay. And then, it looks like Daniel Marlin's playing in that support position behind him. We've got Evan Gesson, who seems to be sort of getting used to Unai Emery's style of play. We've got Emi Buendia, who's reborn. Morgan Rogers, hopefully, is coming back to some form. John McGinn, every time we write him off as a Villa fan base, he seems to come roaring back as the captain. Onana, as I say, is coming back to fitness. Boubacar Kamara is brilliant in midfield. Lamar Bogard, he's putting himself in the frame to be in the first team now. And then you're looking like Pau Torres, who's coming back well as well. Tyrone Mings going to be fit. So how do you feel like the squad is looking right now? You mentioned before about some players grabbing their chance with both hands, getting questions in about Harvey Elliott as well. How is Unai Emery going to balance this up with these players that are coming back to fitness, and how is the squad going to be looking for these next 6 games and then beyond the international break going into the Christmas period?
I think what you said, the main word you said there is squad, is Emery, and it's not. It's pretty much when he came in. Maybe he didn't say it directly, but people around the club have said that Emery tells everyone, "I don't have a starting 11. I don't have a subs bench. You're part of a squad, so you've got to be prepared to sit on the bench. Come on." Because we've obviously had Elliott's not played a huge amount of minutes, but who knows? It might take one bit of genius from him, and then all of a sudden he starts 5 games on the trot and plays out of his skin. So, in terms of the squad, where we're at, like you said there, Torres has come in. I won't step away from the fact that yes, I as a footballer, I was ranting and raving about him, but it was him defensively where I thought, okay, he's your luxury defender that actually, because superb with the ball at his feet, but can he defend? But actually, even he stepped up the last 3 or 4 games where, because I even said to the lady who's a season goal next to me, I said, the problem with Torres is he doesn't win anything in the air, and I think it might have been the Bologna game or something, and he won like 4 headers in the first half, and I was like, "What? That's why I'm sitting where I'm sitting, and Emery's on this." So there's players that are actually, I think, of as you said, grab the chance to basically say to Emery, "Look, I'm the person that you can't afford to drop." And I've been really impressed with Bogard all season really. Yeah, okay, every player has the odd moment where they might make a faux pas, and I thought he was really good against Fulham. And yet someone was like, "Oh, but he lost Raul Jimenez for the goal that Fulham scored in the 3rd minute, and you're like, well, Jimenez is he's good in the air. Okay, it was his man, but actually, like, if Tielemans was fit tomorrow, I wouldn't drop either Kamara or Bogard based on their current form. So again, that's a really strong position where you're saying Yuri Tielemans, who's one of our better or one of our best players in the last 18 months, doesn't walk straight back into the squad. And I think that's a good position. Yeah. That's a good position to be in, because gone are the years where you're like, right, as soon as he's fit, he's going straight back in. And actually, when Elliott came, everyone was like, he's the dynamo in that sort of front three that's going to change all our fortune. And when he's come on, he looked like that player who's got a great first touch, and he wants to drive forward and has had a couple of opportunities. But actually, it's testament to the squad that those sorts of players aren't getting a look in. So I think the squad's in a really good position, and I think we've got a couple of people to come back. But certainly from where we were a few weeks ago, where you looked at the bench and you thought, Christ, we've got a lot of youngsters on the bench. I think it might have been the Palace game at home, which we lost 3-0, but on the bench, when you start seeing squad numbers above the 45 number, you've got a few youngsters. But at least I think on the bench against Fulham, you had Onana, Barkley, and you certainly had some players that would have walked into the first team. So the squad is in a good position, I think.
Yeah. Don't sleep on Ben Broggio though. He's going to be the next boy. I'm telling you. But yeah, I mean, Dan's right. Do we? Is there a potential selection headache though, George, in that sense, or is it just, I've always been an advocate of, a lot of the time these days in the Premier League, it's what you can do off the bench. Your game changers, your match winners. Can you have the options off the bench, particularly with the 5 substitutions? So, almost having the ability to have, let's say Marlon, Sancho, and Elliott on the bench, and Onana, it's almost having that strength to be able to pretty much change half your team, to be able to then go on and win a game for you if need be.
Yeah, of course, mate. It's the name of the game, having the deep squad, isn't it? I remember when the 5 subs come in, and I remember it being mooted for about a season or 2 before that, and we were like, no, we don't want that coming in, because we didn't have the squad at the time. You're thinking, this is all tailor-made for Man City and for Liverpool to just in them tight games that they can't win, another couple of subs and they'll win. But by the time it did come around, we were a bit stronger, weren't we? And then we're sort of building a squad of our own. So it's worked out well. Since Emery's come, I've sort of worried less about, like you get all these fans, don't you, sort of desperately pushing for like this perfect 11 all the time. This is our best team. This is what's our best side. I just think in the reality of it, we've been injury ravaged every season since Unai's come. And, you've just got what you've got on the day, haven't you? We've got a squad there. And, you can't keep worrying all the time, so-and-so's injured, so-and-so's injured. Because Unai doesn't really make excuses, does he, when players are out? I mean, he hasn't mentioned Tielemans since he's gone out, and that's our best player last year. Yeah. So, you just got to get on with it. And, that's what we're doing. And, it was Tielemans' season last year. Maybe this year it's Bogard's season. It's when one goes out, it's always an opportunity for someone else, isn't it? So, we just wait and see, mate, and we keep on rolling.
Absolutely, and like you said before, George, we were saying Daniel Marlon is a waste of space. He's not going to be any good. And look, we're talking about a game where he scored 2 goals and a couple of games where he's looked more effective. But we were saying Evan Gesson was terrible and what a waste of money he was, and all that sort of jazz. And Emi Buendia is crap. I've been a massive one for sort of saying Buendia is not good enough, and absolutely fair play to him. The last few games, he really has stepped up to the plate. But, it just shows you that a run of games, a bit of form, but also being able to take these players out if they do drop off that form, that's the key thing, because then it doesn't allow those players to go stale, or B, if they do start to go stale, someone comes in and it spares them that criticism or whatever, because at some point a player will lose a bit of form.
That's it. We love a snap judgment though, don't we? As soon as a player's had a bad game, he's never like, he hasn't played too well today. He's terrible. He's awful. It's embarrassing. This is what you get, can't it? It can never just be like, you know what I mean?
We can't all be as rational as you, George.
Mate, I have my moments. I'm not as bad as some of you boys, but I do have my moments as well.
It was funny the other day when because I didn't know anything about Evan Gesson, to be fair, and a mate of mine was like, I've seen him for Nice and he's like bombing forward, scoring goals, and he started, and I'm thinking, oh God, this like, well, what did Emery say? And then some guy said to me, I had to laugh. He said, Gesson plays like he's wearing steel cap safety boots and denim jeans at times, and I was like, but then you okay, going forward, there's been a couple of times, but actually defensively, I can't knock him because I saw you at Everton, Rich, and he was superb on that right hand side with Cash tracking Grealish, and actually stuck it on Grealish a couple of times, and actually where other players have excelled when they've come in, like Bailey when he first came for the 12 minutes before he pulled his calf or something, scoring a goal. That sort of defensive side had to be coached into him. So I think there's before we're overly critical and start saying he's a waste of money. He's certainly got that defensive side down to a T already. So and I think it will just take one moment, and then everyone will go see. That's why we spent 30-odd million on it.
Well, I said we spent 20 million on his dreadlocks, but you know he's done a bit better of late. I will say that. But I actually do massively agree with you on that, Dan. When we were doing our watch along the other week, I think it might have been the Fulham game, and it was 2 headers that Cash had put in that were at the back post, and he was there to pick up the second ball. And there were so many times over the last 2 or 3 seasons that the Cash would win that header at the back post, and Leon Bailey was ambling back, and it would be the attacker that would pick it up, and then Bailey would try and put some pressure on him. Whereas Gesson was there to win it, not only be able to win it, but retain possession for us, and then we were able to either clear it, and I think one of them we actually ended up on the attack. So that type of positioning, that type of tracking can really help. It shows how important it is, and the attacking kind of, I guess, slight confidence lacking will come because he'll start to get used to when he needs to shoot, or when he needs to pass it, or when he needs to beat his man, and that. But I think that buys you a lot more time with the Villa fans, well, any fans in general. If you put in that work in, if you're getting back into position, if you're showing that you can put your tackles in, so fair play to him, because he has looked a bit. He has looked a bit sort of cumbersome at times, but certainly is starting to getting more ingratiated with the team. So I think in general, though, we're sounding pretty positive with the squad right now, and that's a good thing, because with the players, with all the rumours around players leaving and players staying, and we haven't even talked about the goalkeeping situation, and Martinez and Bizot, who's been phenomenal when he's come in, and that gives us a real good goalkeeping issue, because before the drop off from Martinez to Robin Olsen, bless him, was huge. But now as a fan base, we're fine if Marco Bizot comes in. So even to that level, it's the squad's looking quite healthy, Dan.
Yeah, I think there's now, having seen a few games of Bizot, there's that sort of trust in the fan base that actually, if like at Feyenoord, to be fair, there's quite a few in that away, and like myself, didn't even realise that Martinez wasn't even playing before, but until a few minutes in. But actually, there's that sort of belief that if something like that does happen, we're not going to have like just calamity when the ball comes in. And I think you can see that in the defensive line as well. They've got that belief that they're going to be backed up by the keeper. And again, this is not to badmouth Olsen, but you could sense there was that sort of you could sense there was that uncertainty when balls were coming into the box, and because he was a big keeper, but he just couldn't catch a cold, that bloke. And he just when even with his feet, you're just thinking just play Sam Allardyce football, just boot it as far away from this goal. Whereas Bizot, again, good with his hands, good with his feet, and again, a big lad. So, yeah, I think there's just an overall confidence in the fans and the team that if Martinez was to have a long to have a bad injury or whatever. Actually, we've got someone who's just as capable.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. We've got to talk about him because there's been so many comments. Jadon Sancho, George, it says he's off with sort of illness at the moment. And there's obviously been some social media rumors. I'd imagine there's some sort of personal issues, but what have we signed here with Jadon Sancho? I mean, so many comments in saying we wasted our money. It's a poor signing, and other people saying, well, let's just have a look. 160k loan fee, says Carl. We can't cry about PSR, and when we sign with such frivolous contracts, I'm sure that one would interest you. John says send him back to sender. It's faulty. Maybe that's why Monchi was let go. No due diligence on Sancho. Sounds like a bad egg, and absolutely no sympathy for him. And yeah, so also even Emery can't save Sancho. It's not football reasons. Kevin says we're here again. Nobody knows what's wrong with Sancho. All conspiracy theories. Isn't anyone prepared to give the lad a chance? I mean, to be honest, when I've seen him play the games where he's come on, I thought he's looked pretty sharp. I think he's looked as really good technical ability. Looking to play players in. You can see he's kind of sometimes a step ahead of our players. He's got that touch of quality about him, but I still can't get away from it. And when I spoke to Jacob Tanzor, he said that the fact of the matter is that, and to a lesser extent Harvey Elliott, because we know he's a really good player. And Sancho's a really good player, but we know he was kind of quite coveted, Elliott. But these players were all available for the whole of the transfer window, and no one took them. No one took anyone up on the offer, and particularly Jadon Sancho. And I know what your thoughts are on the wages, but I mean, what do you feel about it? Do you think there's a player in there, or do you think the baggage that comes with him is just a little bit too much?
Listen, it's hard to say here because I don't really know what's going on, but like what you just said there was 100%. When he's played, he has actually looked all right. I thought the Brentford Cup game when we lost, I thought he was a bit of a bright spark in that one. He started giving me a sort of the Grealish feeling, the way his style of play. And I thought, you know what, actually, rather than say everything I've said about how much he's on and him being a mercenary and that, maybe he could be the one, and he might still be. We don't know about all this drama, but his history says enough for me. Like, how many managers and how many clubs has he had at the age of 24, 25? How many managers have not wanted to know? Why are we always the rehab centre? I don't really get it. We're always that club that has to take these players and try and nurse them back to health. As I keep banging on, you're giving him the money you're giving him. He should be our best player, our top scorer. That's what you bang 200 grand a week on when you're Aston Villa. And, I said, didn't I, after we signed him, I said he will spend more time on the bench than he does on the team sheet. And I still believe that. But I don't really know. I mean, it's a load of Twitter rubbish, isn't it? Until we find out, if we probably will never will find out.
We won't.
I just want to see the lad do his talking on the pitch, mate, and less drama.
Exactly. And if he was playing every week and all that sort of jazz, then none of this would be coming out. It's just, I just guess people put two and two together when they say someone's off with illness and someone's off, and then it doesn't seem to be an injury coming out, and then there's all this stuff that's out there on social media about money and all this sort of stuff. I'm not going to get into it, but it can't be easy. And like George says, Dan, you're paying that amount of wages on someone, and we've had these issues before with regards to the money that you're outlaying on players that you sign permanently for the club for one, but certainly loan players that you're signing, they really do have to come in and make a massive impact, because the other players that are in the team, that are in the squad, on half the wages that these players are going to be like, hang on a minute, what we brought him in for? Because I'm better than him. It doesn't matter if they're mates with him or not. They'll still have the same attitude. They're young competitive footballers. Like, it's like, hang on a minute, boss, why are you playing him? Or why is he not playing? Why is he on higher wages than me? When I'm doing this, I'm doing all this work, I'm scoring all these goals. I want to be on the same as him.
Yeah, I think, and it's, I suppose they're similar in terms of from Man U, but it's you look at Rashford when he came, we were paying him whatever we were paying. It wasn't my money. I don't really care what he
Yeah.
was paid. But he came in. He was putting in performances on the pitch, and sort of a lot of people forgot about the sort of the attitude that allegedly he had, and he wasn't hungry, because all I and probably every other Villa fan saw is he was hungry.
He was
His
good.
attitude was right.
He was a step ahead, wasn't he? Like, you look at the touch and. Yeah,
and well, I think it was even. I didn't actually see it, but I've seen it on Twitter that Tuchel said it was his time at Aston Villa which proved to Tuchel that he was he had that hunger and desire. And you're like, that's what you want. Again, if it is personal matters with Sancho, then obviously that needs to be sorted before he's back. But that's sort of what you want to be talking about Sancho and the Villa, that he's even if it's not every game, but when he's playing, he's got that spark. But because obviously he's had that, whether he was ill or whatever, because he's not playing, everyone goes into the sort of conspiracy theories that he's doing this and he's doing that, and then some kid in his bedroom is probably making up rumours that he's sleeping with Ollie Watkins, his missus wife, and you're like, so it's just.
I hadn't even heard of that one. Bloody hell!
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that.
It was on a. To be fair, it was on a United. Sort of, it looked like an AI type story, but it was just one where you're like, this. It's so much tosh, but because it's on Facebook or social media, everyone's going, "Oh, that's definitely happening because that's why he's not in the squad." And you're like, and then it's like, "Oh, Sancho's unsettling the Villa dressing room, and like he's had a massive falling out," and you're like. That's the problem. We talked about social media right at the start. That's the problem now. Is all it takes is that, and then all of a sudden it's all over. Like every other fan's like, "See, told you Sancho's a X, Y, Z."
To be fair to him, he's better off not saying anything, because if you say something, you just adding fuel to the fire. So he's better off saying that. And I think we're all in a similar position to Kevin. Like we reserve judgment until he's had a run of games and he's back from whatever issues he's having, or it's injury or whatever. Because like we've said, with the flashes that we've seen, he's looked pretty good, and that's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. So yeah, I think that's. Let's just wait and see. Let's just wait and see with him. But it's been a tricky start for him, certainly. And let's just put it that way. I didn't even know. I honestly hadn't seen that one. I'd seen the one that Rachel's put there, but I've certainly seen that one. But I hadn't seen anything with regards to.
It was just if you find it, if you read it, you can tell it's made up, but it's just the sort of thing that someone will make up, and then before you know it, everyone's saying, "Oh yeah, did you know he's doing this?" And you're like, "Yeah." So, but as we said, get that off the cards, get back to playing football, and then we can reserve judgment. But it certainly doesn't help doesn't help him. That's what we're talking about.
Exactly. That's the thing, and we want to see a training picture of him on Wednesday or Thursday or something, and that'll get Villa admin getting pictured training or whatever, and then that might get Villa fans excited for the weekend and see if he gets in the squad. Guys, we will finish up very soon, but I want to make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We are nearly 300 of you in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us, and make sure you smash the like and keep your comments coming in. Just to finish up, I did want to just focus on a couple of bits that you, Dan, because you are a bit of a photographer, and you've sent a few pictures in. I've highlighted 2 or 3 here. And we were talking before the show about maybe doing some sort of competition where maybe we'll do something for like the members and maybe something out on social media as well, where people can maybe select a photo that you've done and we'll get it framed for them or something. But yeah, how did you get into a bit of photography, mate? And talk about what you do basically.
I mean, to be fair, I've always been into photography. I think the benefit now of a lot of phones is everyone's got a camera.
Stephen said you look worried then. That was what I was going to bring up. Got some pictures that you've sent.
yeah. Don't worry. As good as I get on with Rich, I won't be sending him any of those any pictures of that sort.
Not again.
Not again.
We're not going down that road again, Dan. Come on.
He even asked for these ones. But yeah, I mean, I've always been into photography, and probably last couple of years just sort of got back into it again and a lot more. And it's a gold mine though with photography. I sort of know Pete Hitchman, the guy who did the ABFC on camera, who did the book from a couple of years ago. Sort of know him really well, and it is a gold mine because you sort of get into one thing, and then one thing leads to another, and then before you know it, you sort of trying to build your repertoire of cameras. But yeah, always been into it. But I really like the sort of street style, sort of candid stuff from a match day rather than just being able to take ones of players on the pitch, because that's what the professionals are paid for. You don't always get the ones of fans or from the fans' point of view. But yeah, I want to try, if I can, take photos at every game this season, and then at the end of the season put something together. So just sort of try and keep it sort of on the down low without being in people's faces saying, "Can I take a photo?" So yeah.
Well, good job Martin's not on, because he loves getting on a photo or two when he's around around the grounds and that. He's like, "Oh, do the Villa Park podcast. Get me a photo." We love you, Martin. We love you, mate. We love you. But yeah, just a couple here. I've got celebrating. Is that Buendia's celebration there against Fulham?
Yeah, that was against Fulham. To be fair, I hadn't even realised, but I put like a reel of him doing his sort of his celebration, and he even retweeted it himself, saying, "Oh, I know, great bunch of photos" or something. So, but yeah, just it's those sorts of bits that I like trying to capture, really.
Yeah, great. And then celebrating in Rotterdam, is that?
Yeah, it was probably you can see from the blurry nature. I think that was the McGinn goal, I think.
Nice. And then I like this one. That's setting the atmosphere for is that Rotterdam?
Yeah. So what I do is I do for anyone who's watching, I do post a link after every game, which is sort of a link to view all the photos that I take. So yeah, it's after every game. So Sunday evening there'll be a link on there with all the ones and Spurs and what have you. But yeah, I'll link in with you, Rich, or whomever, and if people want to do that, then yeah, just let me know.
Brilliant. Yeah, we'll definitely do some sort of competition as well, because the great pictures, and we'll see if we can get like someone who wins or something can select a picture of a match that you've done, and then they can, whether it's the ground or whether it's a celebration or something like that, then we'll get something sorted. But yeah, great photos, says Patty. Yeah, loads of them are great, and like you said, you post them out on social media so people can have a look as well. So really good stuff, mate. I think that does us, boys, for the fans forum. I think we're in positive mode. Obviously, some of the players have done really well on international duty. I think we want to see them coming back unscathed after tonight, back in training on Wednesday or Thursday. Matt says they're amazing photos. So really good stuff there, Dan.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can get 7 points. Was it you said, George?
Yep.
Did I think 6 points you said, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I'd certainly take more, but 6 is the minimum. Yeah.
I'm gonna say 7. I'm in fairly positive mood. I think we'll get a good result on Sunday as well. I mean, I'm in a positive mood about Sunday, and then we'll take that further forward. And I think 2 wins in the Europa League as well, and we'll be as good as done, as good as qualified, if we can say that after the first 4 games in that competition. Thank you very much, Dan, for joining us. Where can people find you on social media?
So I'm at the Villa Home on the tag there, and on Instagram as well, on the Home of the Villa or the Villa Home, I think. But yeah, I'm usually on one of the platforms.
Great stuff, mate. And Stephen says there you'll be getting calendars out next year with those photos, mate. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
None of the other photos that we were talking about.
No, we don't want that. There's no Villa Park pod calendar coming out now.
Yeah.
George is not going to be Mr. February, guys.
Yeah. No one wants to say that.
George, thank you very much for jumping on, mate. Much appreciated. Great to have you on. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on your way out. We'll be back with match preview for the Tottenham game. Also might be doing it in the away end as well with a Tottenham fan. So make sure you stay looking out for the channel. We'll do a watch along on Sunday. We'll do match reaction on Sunday. So loads of shows coming up, all the usual stuff. So stay tuned to the channel. Thank you for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.